when we started the big interview, we didn't necessarily believe we'd have the massive pleasure of speaking to world-class entertainers like Jon Dahl Tomasson. And this man can't have believed in his quietest days in Copenhagen or in Milanello or training with Newcastle that he'd be here with me for the big interview in the shadow of a cruise ship called the Aria in Rotterdam docks. A cruise ship which is about as big as, I'd say, half of Glasgow. It is there, it's a beautiful view outside. The view for us inside is still better because you've got two guys who love football beginning the big interview. Anyway, Jon Dahl Tomasson. As a first attempt,
perfect.
John, perfect.
Jon is excellent, that's the first name.
Dahl.
Dahl.
Jon Dahl Tomasson.
You did well.
I'm going to reach out now and you can humiliate me because I said we were going to start at the Cup. But I'm going to try one more thing because I tried it with a Danish guy a couple of nights ago and it worked. So if I say to you,
I'm impressed.
Oh baby, that's
I'm
it.
impressed.
Okay. And thanks for listening. The interview finishes there. Wow. Yeah, because in 1982 I was taught that by some new Danish friends.
That's a typical Danish sentence. Everyone, you need to try it.
Yeah.
And you did well.
It's okay.
No, it's good.
A
it's
6
really
out of
good.
10. Joking aside, we're with a footballer a manager, a talented coach, but a footballer who I admired and I loved watching. You know, you made football elegant and intelligent, and to watch you was good. And I told you off tape, but I still compare you in my understanding of space and movement and peripheral vision. I compare you to Jari Littmanen in these days. I see similarities with Griezmann and with Benzema. Maybe they watched you when they were young, maybe they copied you. But one thing I want to pick up on, John, is last night you were in the Cup.
Yeah, watching that beautiful game.
The Feyenoord game, which was it was beautiful. Full stadium, noisy.
Noisy, semi-final Conference League. Final haven't been there for years, so it's a huge game. Great atmosphere and a great game. Two teams who wanted to play football as well, attacking-minded football. Something which you need to do for the fans as well.
The guy I want to remind you of is a guy, he's a Belgian guy. I'm maybe going to get his first name wrong, but it's Cyril Dessers.
Mm-hmm.
Now for those who are listening to this, because this is going to go out in about maybe 10, 12 days, maybe they'll have seen the second leg, maybe by then Feyenoord's in its first big final since you won them. Dessers at half time at 2-2 goes like, bollocks, there's the ball, I'm chasing it. Now, there's very little tactical preparation you can do for that apart from saying, yeah, press the ball, press the opponents. You've got to have the mentality of kind of like a dog chasing a tennis ball, because Dessers just sets off. Now, Marseille have 4 or 5 players passing the ball and there's no way he should get anywhere near it, but he does. He chases it down, the last pass is short, Mandanda can't get there, Dessers scores, and it turns out to be the winning goal. It reminded me of the Europa League final that you guys won, and I think it might even have been in the same end, because to open the scoring against Dortmund, our guest today, you're on the ball, you try one of your flicks. I think that Rosicky has anticipated, gets in the way, and suddenly Dortmund kind of have the ball. But you chase, you do a Dessers, or Dessers does a Tomasson, and you chase and chase and chase, and in the end, it leads to a red card, it leads to the penalty, and it begins. Sure. Talk about that choice making when you think that ball's worth chasing. This rival might flop. Is it just? Do you recognise the comparison? One.
Yeah, for sure. You're totally right. I remember that. It's 20 years ago, but I still remember it. No. I received the ball more or less on the midfield. Wanted to play it to the left hand side. I made an awful ball. Big mistake. But then suddenly I went chasing. I went chasing one man to another one, and in the end the ball came to Jürgen Kohler, a German player, Weltmeister, who won the World Cup with Germany. His last game for Dortmund at that time.
Whoppa! No, I didn't know that.
Last game, and he made the penalty. Red card, he was out. That was his last game, and we got the penalty at that time. So yeah, it was a bit like, not like yesterday, but I understand.
Because in those days, Köhler was like one of the man markers. Last game maybe age was catching, maybe pace was catching.
But he was a big player.
He's an extraordinary marker of people. Yeah. He could literally probably make one man of the opposition out of the game and take half another guy as well. And he was like a limpet in behind you all the time. And therefore, when he goes off, it's not just a penalty, or the 10 minutes.
That's the most important thing in the game, actually, what happened that time. Playing that 10 against 11, red card, getting a penalty, scoring from the penalty, 1-0 front.
Take me back and talk about because we're going to be speaking to you today about your abilities as a coach, your future, what you've done so far as a coach, but I want to extrapolate, from what you were as a player, how you changed, what you've learned, how your experiences feed into being a manager today. Also, for those in our podcast who remember you as a player, I want them to have the fun of listening to you describe it. When you're Feyenoord and you're going to have the final in Rotterdam, do you remember, was there an overbearing pressure about we have to get there? Because in many occasions, clubs where they host, say, Champions League final, they haven't got there. And sometimes it can be a distraction because it's like, not just game by game, it's like the finals in our stadium, imagine lifting the trophy in front of blah, 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 blah. That season, I think you knocked out Rangers, you certainly knocked out Inter, and you scored what turned out to be a truly crucial goal to make it 3-0 on aggregate. What was the pressure like for you, for Van Marwijk, for Van Hooijdonk, another big player in the side? What was the pressure in the city like?
This city loves football. Rotterdam is really a football city. It's all about football. The fans are extremely passionate about the game, and that year that was an incredible year. We played some great football. We had a team, really a fighting team as well. So the combination with talent players, with fights, with cleverness, it was an extremely good team. And I can remember that semi-final against Inter, winning away in Milano, 1-0. Playing at home with all the big stars, of course, Inter at that time, one of the biggest teams in the world. Drawing 2-2 here at home, going to the final. The final should be played in the Cup. So you're playing the final in your own stadium. It's a bit of a fairy tale. And actually, it was my last game before I went to Milan. So that was a bit of a dream for a young boy, playing the last game in front of your own crowd, and then going away to Italy afterwards, which was the biggest team at that time in the world.
What did Van Marwijk want from you as a group? What were his coaching principles? How did he instruct you? Not necessarily for individual games, or if you remember how he changed for an individual game, great. But what was the playing idea under Van Marwijk?
We had actually a very mature team. People who like to take charts.
Bosveld,
you had Van Hooijdonk, you had me. Kees van Wanda, you had really players who thinks about football, who have an idea about football, who want to make decisions. So he was really good in managing that you have those guys, okay, we have a game plan, and if something just changes a bit, you have players on the pitch which can change it as well.
So he devolved some responsibility and intelligence onto the pitch. For sure. You could take decisions in real time. Yeah. So for example?
For example, I was the guy who always was doing the pressure. I'm going high, I'm going low, I decided that. So players in the pitch had different tasks at that time, and I think that worked really well. And actually you see that today, a lot of those players actually become coaches or sport directors at club afterwards and doing well.
Which type of players?
Yeah, those players, thinking players, who are able to make decisions, who want to make decisions, want to take the responsibility. And you see that today as well.
Where did that come from in you?
That's a good one. I think I went away from Denmark when I was 18. Then you need to grow up and you need to make decision. You will go away to another country. Suddenly you need to pay bills. You need to find a house. Like that. You need to cook. Yeah, it sounds very easy, and you need to learn a new language, but you get really matured in no time.
Because it's not easy.
It's not easy. Of course, it's a lonely ride, and you have to survive because you're passionate about football.
This will be a subject that you're going to encounter again and again as a successful coach manager. But now most players don't have that because they have an agent or an agency who does all that shit for them. And I know countless stories of players who couldn't open a can of beans, couldn't work out how to toast fucking bread, who have piles of bills in the house if their agent doesn't do it. So you didn't have that relationship, or you didn't choose to be looked after at Heerenveen, or why was it that you were thrown on your own resources?
No, I think I grew up with parents who gave me the responsibility at a quite early age. You need to make a decision yourself, Jon. And okay, we will back you. Maybe make a wrong decision, no problem at all. We will back you anytime. And I think that's an extremely important to when you become older, as a human being, you need to develop the whole time. You need to become better. It's like football. It's a long life education actually.
Who are they?
My mother passed away a couple of years ago, but
my condolences.
Yeah. But people who were working hard and
not involved in sport.
Not in sport at all. No.
But their perspectives from the start with you were to make you independent and intelligent about decisions.
Making decisions yourself. Education like that. I think that's extremely important, especially in the society we're living in now. It's not about only football players, but a human being. Yeah, you need to make your own decision, and you need to do it fast, because the world is going so quickly, and you need to make the right decision most of the time. But at the end of the day, you make a lot of mistakes as well, and you will learn from those mistakes.
That might not have been how you felt aged 18.
No, I don't think so as well.
Because mistakes seem fearful at a younger age.
Yeah, but I came to a great club with Heerenveen for youngsters in Holland. Not a lot of foreigners, so I needed to learn the language as well.
That's good.
We were only 2 foreigners at that time. Okay, you don't have it anymore. Now you have 20 in a group, more or less, in a selection. But and I had a very good manager, extremely well. He educated me on the pitch. He took me on scouting trips. That was very special, you know. And in a way, it was actually clever. He built a relationship with me. We were sitting there, going with him in the car, going to scout players, to scout teams, so I can learn about the Dutch league, but also just to make a connection with me.
So this is Foppe de Haan.
Foppe de Haan, a bit of a legend in Holland.
Foppe de Haan being a legend in Holland doesn't mean that he's that well known in the. There's a wide number of countries listening right now. I describe him, because his idea about taking you under his wing to teach you and show you seems to me to be, one, unusual, and 2, fundamental for how you adapt and change. Tell us about him, and tell us about how dangerous it was to drive with him.
You know the story as well.
No, you need to tell it. It's not my story.
All right. No, he was also a gym teacher, actually, school teacher, and he hadn't played football himself.
Wow.
But as I said, he took me on those trips. He was riding, I was sitting next to him, and he was talking, building relationship, and still he was sometimes looking a little bit too much on me instead of the road, so it was quite dangerous, especially with that speed, because he threw quite fast, so I was sitting like this, easy now, and it was the manager, of course. So
but you didn't dare turn around and say, look at the road!
No, I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
Yeah.
So I was like sitting like that. Oh shit! Come on, Foppe, look at the road. But he built a relationship with me, and we still have contact today. And he's almost 80.
Why you?
First of all, I was the only foreigner, more or less, in the group. A young boy as well, moving away from the country. Yeah, I think he thought, it's also a bit of a responsibility. And he wanted to educate me about the football as well. And at the end of the day, he wanted a good player.
The benefits come to him,
of course,
and the team in the end.
At the end of the day, and to build those relationships is extremely important. I did that as well with the Malmo players, all the youngsters. I didn't drive like hell with them, but put them out of the comfort zone, getting used to cope with different things. They were making presentation for the staff, analyzing games for me, and suddenly, you need to presentate it for the older players. So those young players, they also develop, and they're getting a bit out of the comfort zone, and suddenly it's a normal day at the office. They're used to doing things because they've been trying it before, and they can cope with it.
I want to link you to something. When I went to the Aspire Academy to interview Johan Cruyff, sadly about 6-7 months before he died, one of the fellow speakers was Tuchel, and Tuchel was then at Dortmund. And he said, you know, I made my reputation, I got my job because of my youth work at Mainz and then his senior work at Mainz. But he said, when I coached the young players at Mainz, I gave them everything. Sorry, every listener who's heard this anecdote before, but Jon hasn't. He said, I to the club, give them the best coach, bus, give them the best conditions. They need to stay in the same hotel as the first team. We need to treat them like. And he said, now, if I could take all that back, I'd tell them the coach broke down. I'd turn off the air conditioning in the dressing room. I'd tell them to wash their own strips. And he was like, we're turning out robots who don't have solutions, who don't have the mechanisms to cope. So go into detail then, because it seems to me that you were explaining there things that at Malmo that you did. Like, for example, what did you mean about saying that the young players had to present? Just structure, what that was as it grew, what they had to do and what they felt like.
At the beginning, of course, they did it as a group. All the youngsters need to make presentation of our games, or common solutions, football solutions, and present it to the staff. That was the first move, and all those youngsters said, yeah, of course, they're a bit nervous, they're not used to doing that. And that is, in the end of the day, you need those boys to think, because if they think about football, they become better football players, and you will benefit for that in the end. So, but during a month, it's getting better and better. They were getting used to it, make a presentation, they solve football problems in a different way, and I think it's very important to get those boys out of the comfort zone. You need to demand every day, and you need to demand the maximum. That they think, that they communicate, work effort, that they take cognizance of the fact that it's not just me. So what problems were they set? Or did they have to find their own problems to solve? When you said that the presentation was about solving football problems, would you give them a specific problem? Or would you just say, look, next week it's Hammarby, fucking give me a presentation on how to beat them at? How did you handle that? Actually, both things. Those for next upcoming game, okay, how can we win against this team? I need a solution, and we need it quick. Sometimes I said, okay, you're coming in early today, or you're staying, and we're doing this tonight. Just, oh shit, are we doing it tonight? Why are we doing that? And suddenly, yeah, it can also be in a way, I will come tonight visiting you. I'm looking forward for a good meal, then we can have a chat about football. Then you went home to them. A way connecting, but also to develop them, because at the end of the day, you want to become better players, and of course, also as a person, you want to grow. If they're growing quicker, then we will be playing better as well. You see, you're selling a glass of cold beer to a man in the desert here. I believe in what you're saying, and it's one of the reasons that I often felt that in my youth, I'm older than you, continental football was better than British football, because British football was very aggressive, very competitive, and for spells very successful. But it was like follow the manager. It wasn't the coach then; it was the manager, and the manager was like a sergeant major in the army. You did what you were told. So like our football structure for years, until maybe I'd say 20 years ago in Britain, the football structure was like the army. So we made good soldiers. It was fucking horrible to go to battle with us. Quite often we won. It's a good quality as well, eh? It is a good quality, but very often when a continental team unpicked a British team in Europe, you're like, the fuck, where did they come up with those solutions? Look how quickly they think and move. So imagine a combination of those two things. That soldier thing, just going with each other. Like you recognise the soldier thing, and you only spent a year in Britain, but you understand what I mean. Yeah, I watch a lot of games in Britain as well, and you know, it's so tough, the boys. And also, if you look at some young teams as well, they're always going 100%. You can say here in Holland, yeah, people will always ask why to each question. Why? You always need to be in communication with the players. So it's not it's not like the sergeant in Holland, not at all. Hierarchy, you just because I say so, it's not good enough, right? No. You need to, of course you need to, yeah, the players need to buy into your principles, the way of playing football. It's all, yeah, you need to sell it as well, of course. You have to convince? I think you need to convince as well, of course. In the end of the day, if the players are believing in what the manager wants, yeah, they will do it better on the pitch as well. If they think, oh, that's a wrong choice, then they will be doing things for 90%. You get 90%, and then you won't win anything. It's self-fulfilling prophecy. Exactly. They'll say, see, I was right. You're like, you didn't fucking try hard enough, or you didn't do it right. Exactly. And you need to win games. As a manager, you need to win games. You play football for the fans. You need to entertain the fans. You need to show the passion as well. So that's important.
Well, I'm not comparing you directly to Peter Schmeichel because there's very few people that are exactly like Peter's crazy makeup. But I remember sitting in Copenhagen one afternoon in a big loft of a hotel. Maybe one of the best interviews I've ever listened to, because he is, he's interesting and he's articulate and he's bright as well as being quite a strong personality. And he talked about one of the things that had made him, which was the Danish education system, where he talked about it's promoted that you should be articulate, that you should question. There's a lot of presentation, there's a lot of speaking. You're formed as an articulate adult, younger. It's quite a liberal education system. You maybe don't start as early in Britain. And he said these components, and he didn't say made me, he said make us, blah, 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 like we are. So what is the, in the things you've just been talking about, a Dutch player will say why, you are as a coach and demanding. What has the Danish education system made you? Is being Danish, or your Danish upbringing, a part of, what's made you successful as a coach and a player?
First of all, I have the biggest Danish heart. I'm still red and white, but I've been abroad for years, of course, so I'm also quite international. But what Peter said, I know Peter as well, of course, this typical Danish, but it's also Dutch with the system. You're brought up to have an opinion about everything, questioning everything. You're brought up to think yourself, and I think you need that to make solution. And life, you need solution.
That is how you were taught at school?
As well, yeah. And it's also how they're taught in Holland.
Yeah.
And I'm living in Holland as well, so at the moment.
So I don't know how to pronounce it, but you broke through at Køge?
Køge, yeah. Great.
You're
good at those things.
I'm 3 for 3, baby. It's not hugely difficult, but at least I had a try at it. Yeah. But at Køge and then at Heerenveen with Foppe, were you already that why coach player? Were you immediately but...
I played with Køge when I was a youngster. I was 15 when I played with the first team. I got my first game. So actually I think the oldest he was 35. Probably he could be my father actually. Mm-hmm. But then you get mature as well. So yeah, I was quite like that. Why? Because I always wanted a question. I was also demanding at that time actually. I was very, I did always 100%, always, but I was also demanding for the surrounding. Okay, I do 100%. You need to do 100% as well. And otherwise you will not succeed. So I was very ambitious and very like that.
Driven. Yeah. Still now,
For sure.
The evidence of the couple seasons winning at Malmo show a guy who doesn't like losing at all.
Losing's not fine, huh?
No.
You're getting used to winning, and it's quite addicted to you to win at the end of the day.
Then, excuse me being a butterfly, but before we leave the Cup and you leave them with a trophy, how were the celebrations? How drunk did everybody get? Was it crazy?
I was actually, there was not the biggest celebration in the city because there was a Dutch politician who was shot dead.
That was at the same time?
Yeah, Pim Fortuyn, he was shot dead I think it was a week before that, so it was like that, should we play the game or not? Actually.
Oh man.
But of course, in the end of the day, the boys and the wives, we had a good party.
But in the country, there was a real black shroud over people's... Because it was a culturally and socially shocking event, right?
Yeah, it was a shocking event. So it was really, of course, something happened like that. Everybody's in shock.
And it was right to play the game?
At the time, we were talking with each other. Should we play it? Should we play it? And at the end of the day, we make the decision.
What did you think?
I think it was right.
Yeah. Van Marwijk, if you had to pinpoint specific things that you do, because every coach who was a player who gets asked this question says the same thing, and it pisses me off. We take a little bit from everybody. I know it's true.
But it's actually true, isn't it?
I know it's true, but I want detail. So Van Marwijk, good or bad, I don't care. What did you take from being his pupil?
I had a really good relationship with Bert Van Marwijk. Great manager, been around as well, different clubs, also Holland as a national coach. So, I was more or less in charge for the pressure, which I said before. I decided, okay, are we going high or not in the pitch? So that means that I had a good conversation with him regarding, okay, what is the right moment to make pressure, to make a high pressure, or are we standing low in a block? So I decided that, but when you're able to decide that, you also need to speak with the manager. So I had a really good relationship. So that communication with a player and a manager, I took with me.
But I was going to move on, but you've intrigued me now because it's the second time we've talked about the press. But pressing isn't an individual art. So you took the decision about when to press, high, low, maybe who to press. But that required, I guess, Kalau or Van Hooijdonk, or certainly the midfielders if you want, because sometimes in a press...
Let the rest of the team follow, yeah.
So in other words, you were setting tactics in given moments or spells of the game for 4 or 5 players if a press is done properly.
No, actually you go with the whole team. You defend and attack with the whole team. We did that at that time as well.
So you were genuinely press team leader?
Yeah, you could say that in a way. Sounds good, huh?
Yeah, but it also sounds true. It's just a different way of expressing what you told me, because that's a huge responsibility. Normally, with a press, it's either because you know specific things about your opponent's weaknesses, and you might play a press sometimes, depending on where in the pitch. But normally with a press, it's a team tactic set by the manager, and it should be consistent all the time, and the manager should beat the drum. But to have it on the pitch, to have the responsibility devolved to you on the pitch, is an interesting notion.
But in the end of the day, you play teams who make different things, so you need to make quick decisions on the pitch. There's no time at the sideline. You can make a game plan and suddenly the team change. So you need to be flexible. Modern football is flexible all time. So it's also about reading the game, having the vision, and seeing where the options is in the game itself.
You've made me think though, because we're talking about that era, not your whole career, 20 years ago. I would imagine there was less video analysis, less detail in the preparation,
You're totally
and therefore
right.
more deciding on the pitch, because you knew a lot about the opposition, and now they know their inside leg measurements, how fucking big their ears are, everything.
Even the name of the wife, huh?
Exactly.
And maybe the missus.
Who she's fooling around with. Yeah, exactly. So now, maybe my concept is that it might be more unusual for a coach to hand Jon Dahl Tomasson the responsibility on the pitch, because everything is so predetermined. Like, particularly coaches like Guardiola, Unai Emery, Benitez, Lopetegui, Cholo Simeone, who are like everything detail.
A detail, you're winning with details. Details win your games. So you need to be well prepared. And of course, you're totally right. What a difference, huh? In those 20 years, everything changing. Yeah, and now you have solution for everything, and you're well prepared in a totally different way. At that time there was no video at all. A little bit,
but not as much.
No.
So you knew a lot less about your opponents until the moment.
Yeah, of course. And now it's a detail world where detail win games for you.
But does it extinguish some of the things you've just been talking about that you did well on the pitch?
Oh, I think you were learning. I think things. This world is going quicker and quicker and everything. So all the things you were learning as a football player now is just you need to cope with it. You need to cope with information, and the players who are able about coping with those information are the best player in the world. Best player can make better decisions than the less player.
And more quickly.
And that's important because the game is getting quicker and quicker.
Then where I was about to go before we took an abandoned meander to pressing was. You went to Milan and Milanello and San Siro and Rossoneri, and you worked for a guy who's flying high right now. In fact, a lot of your teams are flying high right now. Feyenoord might make the Conference League final, and Newcastle are suddenly halfway up the table. The Rossoneri are going to win Serie A.
Hopefully.
Villarreal are still in the Champions League semi-final and just about alive. Ancelotti. One of the things he had as a coach that was really difficult, he says the most difficult, was having to manage upwards, to manage Berlusconi, who would come in and tell him this formation, this team. Carlo's about to win as we record this weekend against Espanyol. He'll probably win the title in Spain to make it all 5 big leagues in Europe. He's won at least once. He carries a reputation of being, I've often used the phrase myself, a player whisperer. He can get great players one-on-one and convince them and bring better performances out of them. And he's clearly a good manager. Sometimes people dispute whether he's super elite in terms of the actual coaching and analytics of a match. These are millimetre differences I'm talking about. I'm not being rude about him. How much of this is describing the man that you work for?
First of all, coping with those big egos in those big clubs, the way he managed that, they need to be clever. They need to be very, very smart, because big players are not easy players. They have the biggest egos in the world. They're only thinking, me, me, me. How can I become the most important player? And all those egos.
So, Dida, Seedorf, Maldini, Billy Costacurta.
Everybody wants to be the important
Pirlo,
player.
but these are the players you were playing with.
Yeah, at that time when I was in Milan, we had the best team in the world. I was there for 3 years and we played 2 Champions League finals in those 3 years. But Carlo, coping with those players and getting all those players to go towards one direction, that's quite a challenge.
Huge challenge.
Huge challenge.
How would you say he managed it? What were the things he did?
You had a very good comment that one on one, he was really good getting the players, getting under the skin of a player and letting players perform. And you always see a very warm man. Yeah. But of course he had passion as well. His passion for football. He had a temper as well. But he's just controlling that. And at that time I was very impressed how he coped with the press, how he coped with the board. Berlusconi, Galliani.
Another firm man.
Yeah, all those. That's also a challenge. But the relationship I had with him was an excellent relationship, and there was especially the 1-against-1 when we had chats about football. But also the feeling he gave you that you were important, and what is a good manager? A good manager wins games. Mm-hmm. In the end of the day, of course we need to give something back to our fans, because that's the most important. Football is for fans, so we need to entertain fans. That's my point of view. We need to play a dominant way of playing. We need to be attacking mind. We need to be dominant with and without the ball, because we need to give something back. It's entertainment. We can't stand park the bus the whole 90 minutes. No, not at all. That's not about football.
There's a man who grew up with the Laudrup brothers. There's a man who grew up at the Kuip. There's a man who was gifted with entertainment skills in his brain and his boots. I totally agree. I'm not going to ask you to be rude, but I have a firm point of view here now. You, although he was injured for parts of it, you were playing alongside or in training every day, and sometimes in matches, Filippo Inzaghi. Filippo Inzaghi is a rare beast. Very, very egotistical, very determined, clever. I mean, one of the cleverest penalty box strikers in our lifetimes, for sure. I remember I had a friend who's now in charge of, he's a football head at Rai Uno, and he in the old days he was a reporter, and he went to Inzaghi, and Inzaghi said to him after a match, but before the camera was rolling, that was my 250th goal for Milan. Ask me about it. Well, people, 250 goals. 250, really? Have I scored 250? That's fantastic. Oh, you clever man. You clever man. I was in San Siro the day when, it was a magnificent day, when the entire Champions League that you won revolved around you. Because Ajax were about to go through. I was with the manager of Steven Pienaar, who's godfather to my daughter. Right. We were sitting there and he was like, 2-2 with no seconds left. And the ball goes through and Filippo Inzaghi gets there and lobs the keeper. Now, I guess you're going to tell me it was going well wide.
Yeah, I think it was going.
So how far wide?
A couple of meters.
At least 2
meters
wide.
Yeah.
Anybody who goes back and watches the YouTube is entitled to make up their own mind. And then you tap the ball in, and it's a goal. It's about scoring. It's about winning matches. It's winning trophies. How pissed off was Inzaghi? He goes away and celebrates and claims the goal and all that. How pissed off was Inzaghi with you for putting that in?
No idea. You were probably pissed. He was not happy with it, but no idea, to be honest. I gave a shit.
Yeah, no, me either.
You're through.
But I'm trying to get a picture of this guy who the defenders hated him.
Oh, he was of course a great player, scoring goals. Very, very good in the box. Extremely good in the box. And he was living for his goals.
See, that to me is the picture I'm trying to draw, because I'm not looking for polemic, but you are two utterly different mentalities, both winning mentalities, but two completely different. Across your career, and I want to ask you about this, You scored so many goals for the national team and for all your club sides, and you could score a variety of goals. My favourites of the ones you scored are the ones where you're like sitting with your hands in your pocket in midfield going, the high line comes up and you're like, now, and Carlo releases the ball and you're through one-on-one. Because that's timing, that's intelligence. I love those. And one-on-one with the keeper, some players do it, but few players finish like you one-on-one with the keeper. A little step over of the ball or a dip of the shoulder. You like to go round the keeper whenever you could, sure, instead of finishing because there was a gap. Loved all that. Filippo Inzaghi could do some of those things, but he lived off scraps. And he saw scraps and he created scraps. And he didn't care if the ball went in off his arse. Such different players. So what was it like sharing Milanello and training games with him every day? Because you at Milan, your speed of reactions to the ball back off a goalkeeper save was identical to Inzaghi. You must have been stepping on his toes as far as he was concerned.
I think you always have in big clubs, smaller clubs, you always have competition. And we needed, of course, that big squad to win games because we needed to win the league. We needed to win the cup. We needed to win the Champions League. So you need a hell of a lot of players to perform. And you can't play every game. So Inzaghi was, of course, one of a competition like Shevchenko, Crespo, Rivaldo, Kaká, Rui Costa. So that's all the names. So it's about when you were playing, grabbing the chance, performing, scoring goals, doing well for the team, and win games. So that was part of the job. And of course, you have players you had a better relationship with than others. That's normal. You have that at the office as well. You don't have a chat with everyone at the office. And it's like that in football as well.
Did you learn anything from watching him?
I think he was tremendous sharp in the box and tremendous in also timing his runs in behind. Very, very clever. And scoring all those goals is a legend, huh?
No, I think his quality was really high.
Yeah.
And because not so many of his goals were beautiful, that those who spend the time describing sometimes make a mistake about winning and scoring and winning, which he kept on doing. If I'm not mistaken, I think he got one of them or both of them in the second final against Liverpool. A couple of years after you left.
I was away at that time.
Yeah.
Where Pirlo shot and I think he hit him at the back.
Such an Inzaghi goal.
But it's a brilliant goal. It counts, huh?
No, I knew this would be your point of view for sure.
Yeah.
From whom around you at Milan did you learn most?
That was it. Yeah, I think if you look at the Maldini, Costacurta, Il Professor, Costacurta,
Billy Costacurta loved English football. Hence Billy.
And extremely professional. All those players playing at that age and playing on that level and coping with everything year after year. And that's amazing. So learning about that, keep on going. Being well prepared and doing the right things on the right moment. And of course I enjoy playing with Pirlo as well.
Because of the way he can use the ball to you.
Yeah, exactly. It was just, you needed to make the connection, run on the right time, and the ball will be there. Yeah.
But when you talk about these guys' professionalism and doing the right thing, how much did that change in Jon Dahl Tomasson from that age? You were a good pro, you lived well, you were always in good shape. What things did seeing Maldini or Costacurta tighten up in you? I don't see it.
I was just impressed in the way, especially when you can perform at that age, is incredible. And there's a reason why they can perform at that age. It's of course how they're living, how they're coping with things. So I've also been like that. I've always been ambitious, hard-working as well. As a manager, I'm like that as well. Extreme ambition and driven about the game.
I think everybody in Sweden noticed that, probably. I love the printed photostat of the penalty that was outside the box that you handed out at the press conference.
You've seen that?
Well, we try to follow your career a little bit while we're... I like guys who compete even when the final whistle has gone. I like that. We have socios, people who listen and who support us throughout all our 7 years of life, and we have sponsors. So if you don't mind a change of tack, There's 2 good questions here sent in, much better than mine.
I'm not so sure about
Chris Hennigan. No, Chris is good.
All right.
Chris Hennigan is one of our socios. He says, Carlo Ancelotti has previously spoken in really glowing, praising terms about Danish players, particularly Jon. Is there something specific about how Danish players adapt so well to playing in Italy? He said, I'm thinking of Jon, I'm thinking about Michael Laudrup, Christian Poulsen, Preben Elkjær, the newer generation like Simon Kjær, Damsgaard, Joachim Mahler. I suppose it's a straight question. I can hand it straight to you.
I think when you're for a small country, Denmark, what, 6 million?
Yeah.
Then you need to be flexible. You need to be open-minded. Danish people are open-minded. I've been in a lot of countries. If you need to cope with the environment, you need to be open. You need to connect with people. Otherwise it will take ages. You will never perform. So I think that mentality, when you're a small country going abroad, you need to be open. Danish people are quite well educated as well. I think that helps. The level of intelligence, that helps as well. So maybe that's the reason.
How much, just to supplement what Chris said, as Scots, and I'm not putting my country down, but as Scots, we're very belligerent, we're very aggressive. But sometimes we imagine we're being put down even when we're not. But we do like to hassle and push and shove. But there's a different way of doing that, and I'm asking whether Danes are like, yeah, we're here and we will prove that our little country, don't look down on us. We will, if you think you're big and we're small, we'll push right back at you. I feel that you're quite, as a sports people, you're quite robust mentally, and you want to go like, no, we're here, we're good too.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest, about that. If you compare the two countries, I can also say about Denmark is like that. We're quite driven as well.
Driven.
Yeah, driven. We want to achieve something, and those people who goes abroad, they want to be successful. And when you have that mindset, then it will become easier, and you will be open-minded, and you need to connect with people. As I said before, you need help as well. You need to get the ball in the pitch, so you need to be part of the group when you go abroad.
So if you're like quiet or scared or acting like a prick, then you're not going to get in the instant where somebody makes a decision to release the pass, it's not going to be you.
Then he will play the ball to him, or he will shoot and goal.
Simple as that,
As simple as that, yeah.
Our sponsors are Bet365, and they've been really behind us all the way and generous. And they've asked this question, as we were talking about. You were part of famous Milan sides, the one which won the Champions League at Old Trafford in 2003, and the final against Liverpool in Istanbul. What was the hardest thing to play in such a brilliant side with Kaká, Shevchenko, Maldini? What was the hardest thing about playing in that side?
I think for me personally, the hardest thing was that you were not playing every game. That was tough, because we had a big group of great players, and there was only 11 who could play each time. I think I played for sure starting 25 games minimum each season, but that's not enough as a professional, as a sportsman. You want to play every game, you want to play every big games. But in a club like that, at that time, you were not playing every game. I think that was the toughest. I think in the end of the day, all the players were going one direction. We were always, and there was Carlos, of course, Carlo really did, but he really did well. One direction, and that's quite unique, because it's not that easy to get all of the group to go towards the same spot. We want the same. We want to achieve the same. We want to do it together. But the hardest was for sure that not playing every game.
Are there little things? Because I know that being a coach, being a manager now, you don't stop each day and go, I'll take this bit from that manager.
You hated that. You just told me.
No, but also it's. I know these things are in you now.
Yeah.
So I mean, you don't have a big filing system like today. I will take the lesson from Kenny Dalglish. But are there things, if you stop now, I think what I'm saying, if you stop and look back, are there things that you have incorporated in the way you work, specifics that you take from Ancelotti?
The connection with people as well, and of course, what I did by Malmo, I was using the whole squad. I was using the whole squad. A bit what he also did. In Sweden, of course, when you're playing on two fronts, it's very complex. Playing in Europe, playing in Sweden, with a team, not with the biggest budget. It's quite tough, but using the whole team, everybody needs to have the feeling to being a part of something, because you need each player, and each player needs to put an effort. So using the whole team, I did those 2 years in Malmo, and I think it was quite successful using the team.
Then let's talk a little bit about Malmo, and there's the team you knocked out in one of the rounds, the penultimate round, because I think you had to beat Ludogorets as well to also go Champions League. You knock Rangers out in the penultimate round of qualifying for the Champions League with two good displays, and here you are sitting with an idiot like me, haven't won the title at Malmo twice, but Rangers are still in Europe. And that must be a bit of a pisser that, you know, you and your team unpicked them twice, once away with 10 men. Good result, irrespective of what the name of the club is. And the prize that you won was to go in a fucking group with Chelsea, Zenit, and fucking Juventus. You know.
Yeah, of course.
It's been a bittersweet experience.
In a way, when you're playing from a Scandinavian team, it's just tough going through the qualification. We needed to beat 4 champions of 4 different countries, so 4 really winners, and we did that, and still doing well in the league, which we won in the end. Historical, almost never happened before. It's almost impossible in Sweden to do well in Europe, do well in Sweden, but we managed in the end of the day. We did impossible, but of course, playing those qualification game it's been a bit of a fairy tale. It was impossible, mission impossible. We did it, and we did it, especially the game against Rangers with 10 men, winning it. And I think we deserved to win the games as well. And we played against bigger sides with a bigger budget, different world. As a manager, you're always searching for a perfect game. I think almost against Ludogorets. Ludogorets is a team, I think on the same height as Rangers, more or less. I think they're qualifying for those group phase the last 7 years out of 8. So winning at home 2-0, playing some great football, attacking football, creating chances, probably hitting the post. We should probably have won it 4-0. Searching for that perfect game. I think that game was almost perfect. But at the end of the day, when you were playing Champions League, is those teams you just mentioned, Zenit, Juventus, Chelsea.
European champions, Chelsea.
European champion. That's another league. It's a bit like being that young boy in the schoolyard, playing football with the big boys, and you were trying to show you deserve to be there, and you wanted to be there. And at the end of the day, the boys they're just older. So it's a bit been a for the club and for the fans and for us, it's been a great experience, and it also was extremely important financially.
Let's weigh it up then. So if balancing it against the finances, ballpark, how many millions do you think that campaign made for Malmo? Not to the penny, but are we talking 5 million or 50 million?
I think 30 million euro.
30 is
30.
That's pretty gigantic for Malmo.
For sure, and I think it's great for the club because they could develop the club, invest in the club.
Yeah.
But it can also invest in new players. So I would be sure if I stayed there, we would want to leave for the third time as well.
Yeah.
For sure.
But then you're probably, I think you're going to piss on this, but if I give you a magic wand, right, and you get to go out in the qualifying, but be in the semi-final of the Europa League right now in charge of Malmo, facing, okay, let's call it Leipzig, and you can choose, which do you choose?
Oh, that's a difficult one.
Thank you.
That's a very difficult question.
I am Jürgen Kohler.
Rangers Rangers done really well. I'm a good friend from Bongos, which I played together.
You played with him at Feyenoord, and I knew that Gio would be in your heart, that you probably want them to go and do
for
well.
sure, for sure.
But like in my magic, I've given you a magic wand, like you're actually choosing. You can actually go.
Can I choose the Champions League final instead?
Yeah, maybe you can choose whatever you want. You can have Claudia Schiffer on your elbow if you want. I don't care, but yeah.
No, it's a tough one. No, and to play, to see the people around the club, to see the players, the families, the proudness, the enjoyment when we managed to qualify for the group phase. That's something I never will forget. And they make you proud because you're a leader of a group.
Yes.
They make you proud as a manager to see that you're beating 4 champions of other countries, 4 different qualifications where you're playing teams which are bigger. If you look at the players, regarding players, and you are achieving that, and you do that together, they make you proud. So I will not change it.
I meant it. I knew it would be difficult because one of the things,
tough one.
In researching you, one of the things because I think the way you play and the way you look and the way you talk tricks people. Not nobody knows you well, because I think people will easily think, oh, there's a guy who's happy and look at the way he plays. It's a kind of the 9.5 or 10 position. They're kind of happy-go-lucky. I live in my own beautiful world. But that's wrong. You like to win, and therefore the overall effect of what you said you wouldn't swap for, of the pride and the union and beating champions and being Champions League and leaving a legacy. There's the Jon Dahl Tomasson legacy at Malmo of 30 million euros or whatever it is. It's pretty fucking beautiful, but it's not a trophy. And you like trophies.
I like trophy. I like winning. I won a lot as a player, and now the last 2 seasons with Malmo, I won 2 leagues, and we qualified for the Champions League as well. And winning is addictive. Yeah, you get addicted with winning. Yeah. Winning is something special. It give me fire. You get the hunger. But at the end of the day, I always want to entertain as well. But of course, winning is higher than entertaining. But it's very, very. Ooh.
But sometimes they can also go hand in hand.
And that's as a manager, you're looking for that. You want to develop. I want to build my own team to a special direction where you can entertain people. I think you deserve to entertain people. You need to do it.
You said something crazy, which you said that you're almost enjoying training as much as playing, which seems to me to be completely mad. I'm really happy for you about how the fuck. But I want to ask something more specific now about the group. Because as a coach, I think you knew the group was going to be real tough, but there were 4-0s, and it was tough. And I'm not saying that Malmo was a side that shouldn't have been there, but the learning experience, the bath of cold water in the first 3 games was big, and then it wasn't anymore. Only 1-0 against Chelsea and Juve, and 1-1 Zenit, with Zenit scoring in fucking the 98th minute or whatever it was, which must be...
Which was not a penalty. Otherwise we won it 1-0.
There you go. Their second penalty of the game, I think, as well. Because the big guy...
Exactly.
Missed the penalty. Look, tell me specifically what changed for you, for the squad, between the first 3 games and the second 3 games, because it feels, looking at it, like you went, okay, there's tons of information. This is what we do differently. This is what they don't like. This is how we alter. And okay, it's still 2 defeats and a draw, but that's something also for my money to be real proud of.
Yeah, if you look at one player, for example, for Chelsea, that would be the same amount of the whole club of Malmo. So that's the way you have to think a bit. But first of all, I think after playing those 4 qualification rounds and playing in the league with a group of Malmo, which was not used to that, to play at that level and perform at that level, when we started the campaign, when we started the first game in the Champions League, we were a bit tired. It sounds crazy, but...
Do you mean more mentally than physically?
Both things, actually. And when you play the best team in the world, you need to make quicker the decisions. So we were actually getting a lot of penalty against us as well, because we were not thinking quick enough. And that's normal, because the level was just, I wouldn't say too high, but very high if you compare it with our level. Mm-hmm. So I think it took a couple of games before we got used to the speed of the game, the decision making, and after that it was better. And playing a scene at home, we should have won that game for sure. Mm-hmm. and seeing it away. Actually, we received a goal quite early, but the first half we were a better team, had better chances, and then in the second half we got a red card because things went too quick again. So that journey has been. I think the players have learned a lot from that journey as well.
But by going too quick, I think I understand what you mean, because you see. In Spain, they get called automatismos. Not every football culture has a system where like the decisions are built into your hard drive, and you take half touches and you do a half turn, and not every country looks for that. But when you talk about the games being slightly too fast, can you draw a picture of examples, or we're not talking necessarily 5 seconds. We're probably talking about
milliseconds. Huh?
Yeah,
it's like that. Not just how do you receive the ball? Have you seen things? Have you scanned before? And suddenly, bang! There's a pressure. Then you lose the ball, and then you have to act again. The body shape is not that good. All those small things, which when you play, let's say, in the Premier League, or you play in the La Liga or Serie A,
they become natural because
they're used to playing that level every game. They're used to be match, and we were not used to that. And especially when you're playing all those games, and our squad is of course not strong enough for that. No. When you're in Sweden, so we were actually not. We were not ready to play those games, which is normal because we were not used to it, the boys.
Yeah, but I still want to highlight the positive change between the first three and the second three. So when you talked about, peripheral vision or doing a check on just being aware of what's happening around you when the ball comes to you, body position, like being ready to take it without having to touch, or even, this must piss you off. In general, I'm not talking now about your Malmo players because I don't have enough experience of watching them. But like with your passes, the ones that came to you, you didn't always need to take a touch. You talked about playing with Pirlo, but Carlo would be an example, Robert Pires would be an example, Kaká. When you see footballers in your squad who maybe don't make a 5-yard pass 100 times out of 100 week in, week out, that must piss you off. But also when the pass is good and the player isn't ready just to turn and go. Are you an interventionist coach? So when you're back in the training ground, are you taking them by the shoulders and saying, I want you to be like, don't you see? Or do you try and show them on video? Or what's your one-on-one teaching skill as a coach?
I think that you do both things depending on the person. Different person learn in a different way. So sometimes you do it on the pitch, sometimes you do it inside. Sometimes you do it self, sometimes one of your assistants is doing that. But especially those players, those boys at Malmo, they did a tremendous job. Imagine winning those 4 qualifications rounds, playing those teams we played. That's a big challenge.
You mentioned it twice. Do you think that not only now in this interview, but in general, people don't appreciate that sufficiently?
I think people which know how difficult it is, they say, wow, what a great job. Because it's tough going through 4 champions of 4 different countries, because winners in a league are used to winning. So that's different when you play winners than when you play, let's say, number 4 in the group in the league. For European football, that's a totally different way.
So you're facing teams, even if it's from Finland or Scotland,
they're used to winning.
Their mentality is tough. Different. They've got an arrogance. They've got competitive spirit.
They have to believe in the things they're doing. They have an attitude,
momentum.
Yeah, for sure.
So coming out of the Champions League, you really did say that you find coaching as enjoyable as playing. I saw it. I think I even heard you say it. Do you really feel that?
Maybe it was a bit of a lie, huh?
I thank the Lord, because it drives you crazy. You can't control it. Now, if I see you in Berlin in a couple of years' time, leading Rossoneri or Villarreal or Manchester United up to lift a European trophy, I'll believe on that day you feel it's as good as playing. But it's not. It will lose you sleep. It will lose you friends. You will get sacked. You will have defeats where you did everything right and your players did everything right and you still lose. And what the why are you going to be a coach? Why?
Because, quite simple. Football is my life. I love it. I'm so passionate about football. I'm so driven of being part of the game. And to be honest, I went away as an 18 years old boy because I loved football, because I wanted to be successful. But mostly the first thing was I love football. I loved to play football at the schoolyard, but I wanted to perform on a bigger set as well. So a guy who's been abroad in many different countries, there's a reason why he's done it, because he loved the adventure. He loved the game, and I love it so much. And I'm enjoying, and it's true, playing football is different than being a manager. Of course, it's a totally different path, but still enjoyable. And you do it with people who wants the same as you, who wants to be successful, and to be in charge of that, and to put those boys and the rest of the club towards a special direction you want, which I think is the right, to be dominant with the ball, without the ball, being very flexible, playing a modern attacking way of playing football, and scoring those goals.
What you've had offers, so you're not in work at the moment by your own choice.
Yeah, that's true. It was a bit surprise for a lot of people. I stopped in Malmo actually after 2 very successful years with two titles. And of course the Champions League. So people were a bit surprised, but at the end of the day, it also made me a bit proud, playing the last game away in Juventus actually, knowing, oh, I left this club on a good path. I left this club on a right spot. Got a lot of Champions League money, so can build a stronger side. They can develop the club even more. So I left the club on the top, and it's true, I didn't want to be a quick solution. A quick fix here.
People have asked you to come in and solve their problems.
Yeah, and I want to build something. I want to build something to be successful. And when I stopped at Malmo, it was, you can say in a way, I also stopped from Denmark. I was in Denmark before I went to Malmo, and after we qualified for Europe 2020, without losing a single game for 3.5 years, I went away because I have an ambition and I love the challenge. I'd love to develop the club in a more European way, to develop youngsters, to win games, to win trophy, which happened in Malmo. And now I'm searching for a new challenge again. If
it's a club challenge, we'll come to it in a second, but really maybe you should be in charge of the Danish national team right now, is my opinion. And maybe the Danish FA should have handled it differently. Once the tournament was postponed, you'd qualified. But if you had again, I'm giving you a magic one, if you had your choice, would Jon Dahl Tomasson be coaching next in, big club in Eredivisie, Bundesliga? Maybe not La Liga yet, because you would need to top up your Spanish, or the Premier League. If there's I'm not asking the club, but if there's a place where you're like, I see the fit, I see the logic, that's next.
Of course, I had opportunities on a higher level than Malmo, on a higher league as well. In the end of the day, as I said, winning won a lot as a player. Going with Denmark 3.5 years without losing a game, and now being at Malmo, I'm not used to losing. I hate losing. So those winning those games it's quite addicted. But in the end of the day, it's also about the project. The way you can build a club towards the right direction. So it's about the project, the next step. And it's not important if it's in that country. It's about the project, the total packet.
And presumably some of it will be important because you were slightly separated from your family. And there's such a brutal life, you guys. It's well rewarded life. It's wonderful when you win. But in family terms, if you're separated, that's pretty shit. Will the next step include where can we all live together, or does that? Are you
depends?
You're prevented
at the moment. I don't have a club, so depend of the situation as well, and depend where the location of the club. And as you said, you as a manager is a part of the manager life to get sacked. So that was also a good feeling just to after going away from Malmo and making my own decision after 2 great years, walking out of the front door in a way.
Gareth Scriven is one of our socios again. Hi Graham. After Jon's spell at Newcastle, does he ever wish he'd returned to the Premier League in England at some point? Did he ever get offered the chance? And if so, how close was it to happening?
First of all, of course, Newcastle at that time was a tough challenge. Great club.
Small similarities with Feyenoord in terms of the
mentality and the way of thinking, the passion. I think you can say that. Great club. We were playing Champions League that year. Had a really difficult time.
How did you go against Barcelona?
Yeah, piece of cake.
It's a good answer. It's a very Newcastle answer.
No, it was a lovely game, and it was actually. Sometimes it's a bit sad. I was playing out of position.
Yeah.
Because I think it could have been a great playing together with Shearer, which actually did in the pre-season.
But for his injury.
Yeah.
Was it the right managerial solution, knowing what you know now, not protecting the young guy, Jon Dahl Tomasson, but was it the right solution to do what Dalglish did and say to you, hey kid, first season here, young guy, play in the 9 position?
I think it was the only solution, one of the only solutions he had.
That was it?
Yeah. So I think it was a normal, but I was not ready to play as
number
9. Not at that time, not at all. During the years afterwards, I played as a 9 and played just as a 10, 9.5, call it what you want to call it. But at that time I was not ready to play as a lonely striker, not the way we played as well. But during the years I adapted to that. So it's just,
sometimes shit happens and
that's football in our life.
Yeah. Did you think of it like that at the time?
No, I think I learned a lot it was a tough experience. As a youngster, it's a very tough experience, because you want to do well and you want to prove yourself for the world, for the English fans that you're really good, and you didn't get that. I didn't do it that well, so that's of course a tough for a youngster.
Dalglish, as a guy, because first of all, I suppose the traditional question is how much did you understand? It's
the dialect.
It's a straight question.
Yeah. Oh, sometimes. Sorry. No, but he's of course a true gentleman. He's a true gentleman in that way, as a manager.
Much to learn for you now, thinking back.
I think he was always honest. I think that's a quite important point, for sure. Being honest, being direct regarding the things you want to say.
You're referring to something that most of our listeners, I think, will know about, but not everybody knows about. That there's a lot of people in football who lie to one another or who avoid telling the truth.
Avoid, I think that maybe it's the right word. Avoid.
On a day-to-day situation in a training ground, if the coach or the assistant coach is telling you one thing to your face, but you know it's not true, the relationship is within a couple of weeks is broken.
Yeah, you should never do it. You should be tough and honest about it. When it's bad, isn't it? Yeah, and when it's brilliant. Of course, there's always a different way of saying things, but you need to be honest.
Is that a skill that's easy for you?
Yeah, I think there's normal. Yeah.
Just tell somebody to their face.
Of course. I think in the end of the day you get the respect, and you get and actually you get the benefit in the end of the day because people respect you. And
you're not there to be friends.
No.
If friendship comes, it's a useful bonus.
Yeah. No, actually, you are in a place where you need to perform. You need to perform as a manager, as a staff, as a player as well. You need to perform for the club, and you need to perform for the fans. And that's the most important thing, actually. So you need to take tough decisions, which is part of the game.
We're gonna draw to a close now, but we need to stop talking about club, and we need to. Did you have good memories of playing for Denmark? And you're the record scorer. Certainly in the modern, you're equal top scorer, but in the modern times you're number 1 scorer. I'd like to ask, what memories do you have of the 2002 World Cup? For example, beating Uruguay, beating the reigning champions. Draw upon your memories of that experience, that living and working that culture for a summer, and then I want to close on where Denmark is now, and what has made them such, because they seem to epitomise as a national team everything that you've talked about in terms of intelligence on the pitch, character, extremely entertaining, winning. They're like the perfect embodiment of everything you've been talking about, you stand for. But let's go back to Japan, Korea. Try and sum up what the experience was like, because maybe was that the peak of your international experience?
I think I just played the UEFA Cup final, just won it against Dortmund.
Yeah.
And a couple of weeks before, I signed for Milan. went there to play in the World Cup in Japan, South Korea. It was first of all playing for a country. It's an amazing feeling. You should be proud of that. You should always be available for the country.
Good for you. It's really important to you, the flag.
Every Dane feel like that, and I think actually you should feel like that as a footballer. You want to give something back to the people of your own country. I think that's quite important. And the only thing playing in Japan and South Korea, you don't get the connection with the fans.
Yeah. Okay.
Because there's of course a distance, but it's a great experience. I've played the European Championship in 2000, Holland and Belgium. Not successful with Denmark. Then playing in the World Cup, winning against France, and going through for the group. Playing England afterwards. That was a tough cookie, but we did really well, and it was scored a lot of goals. It was great experience.
The coach was Morten Olsen?
Morten Olsen, yeah.
He said you're the ultimate team player.
Yeah, he said that, yeah. I always want the team to win. It's not about me, it's about the team. That's also how I manage.
That's 100% always been your perspective?
Always. That's also how I manage now. Always make the decision regarding the team. The team is number one.
And then, I think you recognise what I was talking about, the national team. First of all, in your opinion, should you be in charge of the national team right now?
No, I think we have a excellent manager. Kasper Hjulmand has done well. He took over. We arrived at when Denmark had missed out on the European Championship and the World Cup, not doing that well.
Yeah.
So we built the squad again, and I think he developed that squad with new youngster, Damsgaard, Miele, Skov, and a couple of those players. So we built the fundament, the spirit of the team, and I think they're doing really well. I'm enjoying them. I think actually they showed one in England, in the semi-final against England here in the European 2020. Yeah.
Then why is it that Danish national football right now, after your reign together, you were the assistant, why is it so powerful? Why is it so... There's when you watch them, there's a really clear idea of playing. There's a lot of individual talent, but maybe very few world level players. Eriksen apart.
Eriksen's great, yeah.
Eriksen apart. There seems to be a completely unified spirit and character. There's both intelligence and fight. There's a clear game plan. How much do you feel responsible for that? And why is the national team so healthy right now? And I'm talking about over the 4 or 5 years that you two were in charge, and now the coach is taking it to the next tournament, which is is the World Cup in Qatar. I didn't remember if this was a Euro year or a World year, but it's a World Cup in Qatar. Why are things so healthy?
First of all, I think we're quite good. Denmark is quite good in bringing up youngsters, working with youngsters and develop young players. I think we're extremely good. We need to be good because the country is small, so you need to have a plan and follow that plan. And we have a plan with Denmark, and you see that. It takes some years, of course. You need a plan to be successful, and we have that plan. And now it's a team with a great spirit, but it's also the team is still number one in everything they're doing. The team is number one. It's about the team, and you said that's not top class players for me. Okay, Eriksen is a top class player as well, but you also have leaders in the team. Simon Kjær, for example, from Milan, he's a really leader, and you have a lot of talent youngsters. And I think, in a way, when the COVID, after the COVID period, the national team needed to play 3 games in a week, more or less. So all those youngsters were more or less playing the second games. So suddenly Denmark, having a quite small group, it became bigger with a talent pool of players you would never normally would have seen, because you played 3 games in a week, and no players were able of playing 3 national games in a week time. So the group actually become much bigger, and you see the quality now. It's very a lot of talents doing a good plan. The manager is doing an excellent job. So I'm really looking
You're actually enjoying it, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm the biggest fan.
And for the moment, no stress, because it's not your job. So there's a perfect, it's good to watch the national team there. It's fun, and it's not your responsibility for the moment.
No, I think they're doing an excellent job. The coaching staff and of course the players together. They're one unit and they're connecting in every sense actually.
Then we're finishing with 6 quick. This has been fantastic. If you've got the patience, we're going to finish with 6 quick fire questions. I don't think you answered the Premier League. Did anybody ask you to come back to go to?
Oh, sorry.
No. I drew you on.
Yeah, I couldn't go back. I didn't do it. I chose something else at that time.
To?
Sorry.
To which club?
Oh, yeah.
It's gone now.
Yeah, but
they can't sign you now.
No, I can't remember. I can tell you another story then.
Go on.
When I signed for Milan, I could also sign for Barcelona.
Charlie Rexach loved you as a player.
Actually, I had agreed the contract with Barcelona and Milan, but I chose Milan as well. I thought that at that time that was the biggest side, and there was also a couple of Danish players in the selection. And I thought, maybe
Larsen
and Helvig,
Thomas Helvig, ex-Udinese, good right full back.
Yeah, exactly. So those players called me the whole time, so that helped a bit as well.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
And that was a story.
Yeah, it is a story. And you played each other. You played Milan Barcelona, I think, a couple years later. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. Against Henrik Larsson, Barcelona. Okay. Secondly, your favourite player to play with of all time that you've played with. Just your favourite.
My favourite player, of course, the favourite player is Michael Rado at the time.
A guest on this series. Michael was brilliant on this series.
No, but excellent person, brilliant players, but playing together at Milan with Pirlo was amazing. The way he passed the ball, his vision, just turning very easy. It looks very easy, just turning one way and suddenly turned the other way, and then the pass came. The timing and the connection, that's incredible. Great to see that he also went into management. There's a lot of players for that Milan side actually who went into management.
Almost every player a leader in his own right. It might be the same answer. The best footballer that you played with or faced in your career, the best.
It's so difficult.
It's a tough one, yeah.
Because there's been plenty of great players. I need an hour for that one.
Don't say that, because I can give you that hour. It's gonna be, for me, it's gonna be worth the wait. But it's like, I know that in 5 days' time, if I ask you the same question, maybe you'll go, oh no, but him this time. I know that.
No, but
sometimes you just have to talk with your heart.
Yeah, but if you look at the players that played together with the Milan, the leader Maldini, Costacurta, Jaap Stam.
Another guest 3-4 weeks ago in Stoller.
Defending animal, incredible.
He literally was incredible.
Yeah.
And the football is so beautiful that two world class defenders, Maldini and Stam, but in many of the things that they did, so different.
As well. Yeah. And Cafu as a right back, the captain for Brazil, Cafu. No, I would go for Pirlo because of his vision, because I love the way he can actually he can decide games. He can take the game into his own path and decide games because he sees everything and he sees it that quick.
There are similarities between you, a little like him. You made football often, you worked and sweat, but you often, and when you did the big things, a decision or a pass or a goal, you made it look simple. Oh, it wasn't, but he also does that.
Nothing is simple now. The truth is true. Yeah.
The best strip, the best shirt of any of the teams you played for, and I'm sorry, I'm excluding the Danish national team because I know where you're going to go with that one.
My big Danish heart.
Yeah, why not?
Living in Europe the whole life, more or less.
The favourite strip of any that you put on competitively.
I would go for the Milan shirt.
Rossoneri.
Yeah, Rossoneri.
A cheeky question.
Yeah.
I brought this at the press conference. Why did you say they need the money most? What was the?
No, I think we needed the money. I think every team needed the money. You just heard we won 30 million. Huh? And actually now, if you see Malmo, they're
I just like the way you did, because you said it with cheekiness. And then you did something that I remember. I'm not a big Mourinho fan as a person, but I remember to take the stage at Barcelona one day with Chelsea, he went, right, you're not asking, I'll tell you the team. Read the 11 names of the team out and went, that's a good way to finish. Stood up and walked out. And if you can handle a press conference like that, it's quite good. So the way you said, and I think you said, that's a good answer, no? And that was that. What was the mind space? What was going on?
No, it was to be honest, you know, I meant what I said. We needed the money as well, and Rangers needed the money. And I think every club in the world, if you're not top, you need that money to develop, to buy players, to get the right players in.
The last one is, during our working lifetimes, are we going to see Jon Dahl Tomasson coaching a team to lift a European trophy?
Oh, that could be great. I think you always have to have ambition and dream big, and I will do that.
I'm taking that as a yes. This has been an absolute pleasure. I'm sorry it was so long. I guess you've answered all of these questions about 50 times each before.
I'm not so sure about those. Great questions.
Thank you for handling it with dignity, and it's been an enormous pleasure. When I said watching you was just pure joy, and I meant, I don't know if you liked or didn't like the comparisons with Griezmann, Benzema, Litmanen, but those players who seem to have an understanding of what's going to happen, and then they take advantage of it and do things, particularly you're often between the lines. I think you are the type of players, they are the type of players that do what you say you like as a coach. They win, they create, they score, but they entertain.
Yeah.
So
great to hear.
You're an entertainer.
Lovely.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Fantastic.
It's been lovely.
That was a pleasure.